Hey everybody, welcome to a live broadcast from the training room. This is my second podcast that I've done. Normally I try to do these on Saturday, but since we're working weekends now, it's going to be hard trying to get one in on Saturday since I do them at 2 o'clock. And I haven't done one in almost 3 weeks. So, like I said, with work involved and all that's going on at work, it's going to be kind of hard. Today, I decided to take the day off because I was tired and I didn't want to do more. I just needed a day off. So, and after doing 20 hours of overtime, 12-hour shifts, I think I did 3 or 4 12-hour shifts, and I did one last night. I said, that's it. So I put in a vacation day for today. I'm getting paid, being off. So uh, today I'm going to be talking about track planning, uh, track design, uh, where to begin when you want to do a layout. And the most important thing is planning your layout. And the first thing you have to do is figure out how big your layout is, which comes up to the point of the size of your layout. How big you want your layout? Do you want your layout to be a 4x8? Do you want it to be a 5x11? Or do you want it in a room this size or even bigger? You have to figure out how big you want your layout to be, because the size of your layout dictates how much track you're going to need. Uh, if you're going to be using uh, a main to go along the walls, or you're going to use a main to go on the inside, or further on the inside. Anything here is considered the inside. Anything on close to the wall is considered the outside. So you got to figure out how much the size of your layout is going to be. The next thing is, with the size of your layout, you got to figure out how much track and switches you're going to need. Um, Before you do anything, I always draw my layouts on a piece of paper. I've tried the CAD online stuff. Uh, that's just wasting money. Um, I think the best thing for me to do is to get a piece of paper and start drawing. And this is how I used to design my layouts: is paper and pencil, and just draw the outside main, and then work my way in to whatever I want to do, or work on the inside main, which is on the inside, and work my way out. That takes time on paper. Paper is the best thing to do because you can always erase and figure out what you want to do. My first design was on paper when I was in high school, and I designed it on paper. And this is back when I had it on a 4x8. Uh, and to be honest, using 15-inch radius with old Jeeps, Jeep 30, I think it was a Jeep 9 was my first Southern Pacific engine, was Southern Pacific, and a Jeep 9. I used that engine because it's a 4-axle and it's a short, and you can go around those curves. And I used 18-inch for 4x8. And so I believe in all, I had 6 switches, about I think 40 straight sections, and about 25, 30 curved sections in 15-inch radius. Uh, so that lets you know how much design that I did in the beginning, planning that. So it's always a good thing. You can put it on paper, you can put it on the computer. If you feel like spending money on a CAD design, whatever suits you. But always remember, time, money, and maintenance is key into this hobby. You got to spend time on your layout. You got to spend money, and you got to maintain it. So be careful about how much you spend on track. In the future, in the next few weeks, there will be new track on this whole layout. I'm going to take all the old track, I'm going to throw it in something, and then I'm going to come back with all new track with the switches, with the gyro switches. So the design will not change. Only thing that's going to change is the track. So uh, that'll be money well spent on track. Um, so hey everybody, I'm sorry I'm not watching the chat. Hey, excuse me 1 second so I can get into chat. Hold on. Hold on. Pedro, hey, Donna, hey, how you doing, y'all? How's everybody? So once again, uh, always determine the size of your layout, figure out how much tracking you want to use, and then the third and final thing, after you figure out what you want to do, you want to figure out, do you want your layout to be a point-to-point switching layout, or do you want a continuous run situation, continuous run layout, which means a continuous run is like right now, this train is just going around in circles. It's not doing anything, it's just going in circles. Um, those are the type of layouts that just have more of a scenic layout, more of a scenic layout. There's more detail in the scenery, more detail in the track work, everything around the track, buildings. Those are the type of layouts that I consider. Oh shit! Hold on, guys. Something happened. Ah. Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong? All right. Sorry about that. Wasn't expecting that to happen, but it did. Anyway, like I was saying, scenic layouts are more in detail. They're detailed layouts with more scenery, more shrubs, more buildings, uh, minimal switching, minimal, very minimal of switching. So those are the type of layouts. Can I run two different type of size of are you talking about in scale and HO, like what Nancy is doing? Yeah, I can, but I don't want to do that because of the simple fact that to me it don't look right. Because you're trying to do that's what you call a scenic run layout because you want something to look for in the distance, and that takes work, and you got to get it just right. And if it doesn't look right, no. So I that's something they used to do a long time ago. That's back in the old days where they used to have those type of layouts. And they have HO and N scale, and the N scale will always be behind the HO, and it takes some time doing that. And personally, if you have the skill to do it, but like I said, it takes some work to do that. And I've seen one or two at the train show a few years back. They had that going on, and I was impressed. But the problem is, you have to it takes time to get it just right. So I can do it, but I'm not gonna. I could do it, but I'm not gonna invest my money into N scale. No offense to N scalers. I've done it. I've tried it. No, no disrespect toward the N scaler. So no. But, well, Anthony's trying to get into model railroading. Which size is best for model railroaders? For beginners, I always go cheap and I go small. Because if you try to get in this hobby, and I said this in the last podcast, the three things you're gonna have to deal with is time, maintenance, and money. So I always tell all the beginners, find cheap cars. Go cheap first. Don't jump into this with 2 feet thinking that everything is gonna work out great. Um, start out slow. Start out slow. Uh, um, get cheap engines, like $25, $30 engines. Get yourself used to just working HO scale cheap engines. Because these engines there, if anything break on, you're gonna be crying like a little bitch. Because they're expensive, even though they got warranty on them, but you gotta send them in, let them replace. That takes time and all that crazy stuff. So hold on, I got something just for him. If he planning on getting into this hobby, let me know. And if Anthony is serious about getting into this, I just dropped sound in this engine. It's already set to the decoder. Um, I will let him have this engine if he's interested for free. I will mail it to him. This will be my gift to him if he's interested. Oh, okay. Y'all waiting till y'all move? Well, whenever he's ready for it, it will be here for him. So I will donate. I will donate an engine to his layout. So it's already got sound in it. Uh, it's a good startup engine for him. All right. So make sure to remind me. I will probably put it back in the box for him, and I will set it back for him if he's interested. So that will be his. Like I say, depending on track planning, depends on the size, how much track, what type of run. Is it going to be a continuous with minimal switching, or is it going to be a point-to-point switching layout? This is a point-to-point switching layout, but there's 4 points in a switching layout. Everybody call it 2 points, but it's actually 4 points because the first point you start at the yard. You block the train, you take it to the companies to spot and drop. That's the second point. Okay, once you get the old cars, you take them back to the yard, you block the train to head for destination out to the other point where it goes to a siding or an inbound track or siding where it goes to the third point, which is the other yard. They take the train, they block it, classified it into the yard, then a service crew comes to pick up them cars and then block them to go take to other companies, and then the companies then spot and drop them the fourth point. So it's a 2 point, point to point, but it's actually 4 points because you're taking cars from a yard right here, you take them to the chemical plant, you spot them. This is the second point. The third point is taking them to the siding or the post over here where they're sitting on this outside, and then to the fourth point, they're going into the chemical, to the building, to companies where they're being blocked and spotted, and then they take the old cars and do the same process. There's always 4 points in a 2 point because it's a 4 point, but it's actually a 2 point. But y'all understand what I'm saying. So a lot of people get that confused. What size should you do? The cheapest track you can find. I just did a pricing on track. HO code 100. Code 100 costs $5.21 a stick. If he can get section track, I encourage him to buy section track. The reason why, this engine here can go on an 18-inch radius. Section track only costs, I believe, $2.80. 18-inch radius, I believe, either costs $2.80 or $3.10, compared to a piece of flex track costs almost $6 after tax. Tell him or have him to start out small. Get section track. You can get the easy track, the Cotto easy track. It comes in a pack, and it comes like, I think it has like 10 to 15 to 20 18-inch radius or 22-inch radius. It has one or two switches in it, and it has like 10 or 15 straight section track. That right there is the snap-on, the same kind that Nancy has, but it's an HO. You can get it on eBay a little bit cheaper. I wouldn't say cheaper, but the shipping is going to cost your butt, because they don't put it in the price, they put it in the shipping. So you're paying more in shipping than you do in the regular price. When the train shows come around, I encourage him to go to the train shows and look for a section track. Do not get the flex track. Get the section track. Like I said, you got to start small. Start small somewhere. That's how I did it. I started with the section track because it's easy to work with. You know what you're trying to get. And sometimes starting small is the best thing to do. But Code 100 is expensive. If anything, I suggest him go get Code 83 because it's almost $1 cheaper than Code 100. I got Code 100 on my layout. Code 83 is like $1 less. I think it's like $4 and I think it's like $4.69 a stick. But if you can get it in section, I think it's like $2.50 a piece or less. I don't know. I haven't really looked into Code 83, but invest into some section track. In fact, flex track is getting expensive. Section track, a lot of people don't get section track because they don't want to deal with putting rail joints on each section, because section track takes up less track space than flex track. In other words, let me get a section down here. Hold on 1 second. All right. What I have here is 2 section track. One is a re-railer. This is what keeps the cars on your track. The other one is a 9-inch section track. You get 3 of these. This 9-inch, Snap Track, Atlas. Yeah, 9-inch. It's a 9-inch. It's 3 inches less than a 12. But you get 4 of these will equal one section of flex track. Okay. So this is very handy. This is very handy for short places. I try not to cut my flex track as much because I wanted to keep it as long as possible. The only time that I have to cut my flex track is when I have to trim it on the corners, on the curve. Otherwise, I'll be wasting a lot of flex track. And that's the number one thing you want to do is do not waste flex track because it's too expensive. It costs too much for one piece. Or the section track. Be careful. That's the reason why you don't see me putting scenery down just yet, because if I put the scenery on it, it's I guess you can say it's losing its value for the next time. Because every time you put scenery on it, you clean it, you do all the things you need to, it loses value for the next run when you use it. So the way I'm going to do my flex track, the scenery the next time on the layout is what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the scenery, the ballast first, like I did on the last one. I drop the ballast first, and then I lay the track on top of the ballast. Even though it looks like it gives that look like I have scenery down, but I do try to sprinkle a little ballast in between the cross ties to give it that look like the ballast is in between the track is synced into the ballast. So that's one of the solutions I'm going to do the next time is adjust my scenery for the track. Anytime, Miss Donna, anytime. Um, it's very important to just before you drop your scenery, take the time to figure out what type of layout you're going to do. Come up with a final decision on how you're going to design your layout. Because like me, and I think I've been in this apartment going on 6 years now, and I'm sure y'all seen me. I've changed my layout 10 times so far. I changed the layout 10 times. 10 times, yeah, 10 times already. And every time I decide to change the layout, it gets better. It gets better switching wise. Uh, Track planning just involves a lot of time. Now, one thing that I said the other day on one of the videos, if you use a switch and you're going to use a yard, the number one type of switch you need to put on your layout is a curved switch. The reason why is because it gives your yard more track space. If you put a straight switch, or left or right, it takes away your track space. I'm going to explain that right here. Hold on one second. I'm going to show y'all what I'm talking about. You see that curve switch? And you see that curve switch up there? The curve switches gives you more track space in your yard all the way down. So you can fit more cars into your yard. As a straight section gives you less track space because it's coming off the curve. And so a lot of people don't want to deal with curve switches because of the simple fact they believe it takes away they take away your track space. That's not true. It gives you more track space. Two, it's not prototypical. People, sometimes you got to jump outside the box to get what you're trying to get in your yard, which is track space. If I do this, right here is my cut limit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got 10 cars in this track. Okay. Compare that to the curve switch. I add at least 2 more cars to my layout, to my yard. Okay. And another thing, if you get a curve switch, get the broadest, do not get a 18 to 22 pico switch because it's not enough the curve is too short, too narrow. You need a nice smooth curve switch like this Duro switch. This is a 30-31 curve switch. 30 here, 31 on the outside. And as y'all know, when y'all see it, just like now, that engine has no issues whatsoever going in and out. So it's good to get a nice curved switch. If you plan on getting a yard, take the time to think about that before you get it. Get a curved switch. Curved switch work better. Straight switches takes away what you're trying to achieve in your yard. Okay? Just my opinion. Only in my opinion. And because I've been doing yard switching for so long, that lets you know something. So take into consideration, get a curve switch, and take it from there. Oh. Okay, cool. Let's see. So those, I mean, those are some things that I just wanted to talk about when y'all designing your track. Because once again, you're spending money, it takes time, and you have to maintain it. The three things I talked about on my last podcast is those three things. And it's very important to take the time to think about how you want your layout to look, what size layout you want, then how much money you're willing to spend on the basic things. Like the first thing is the track and the switches. How many you need. Do an inventory of what you need. And always remember, always skip one switch left, one switch right, one extra, one left switch, because you never know when you might change up and say, oh man, damn it. And another switch that can eliminate, give you a lot of track space is a three-way. Always invest into one three-way, because if you're going into a yard and you got that one three-way switch, it can give your yard a lot of track space. Even though it's not prototypical how you want your layout to track design, but I guarantee you, it will give your your yard more track space. I used to have a three-way. I gave it to someone. I'm kind of regretting that I did, because that son of a gun could have gave me about 3 more rail car space in my yard. Okay, but curve switches are the number one thing, in my opinion, that can give you more track space. Because right now, that track space right now, I'm sitting at on track one. I can sit nearly. Hold on, let me make sure it counts so I can give you an actual count. Let's see. Yeah, I can fit 15 cars on that one track. 15 cars. And be mindful, the yard is only on one side of the layout, and it ends on the corner with the curve switch down there. So it's a curve switch here to start it, and there's a curve switch down there to end it, or end it, start, end, however you want to do it. But remember, curve switches are your friend if you want to make track space, even for a siding or a pocket track for a runaround. Uh, One design that I was going to try to do on the closet branch that that I was going to do was this. And this is still in planning. I'm still going to do this. I need to get in touch with Bruce so he can make me another curve switch. Was to, dang, where is my marker? Damn, the marker's up here. The plan is to come up with a curve switch on both ends of the closet branch, just like I had before, and then split it with a crossover. The yard track will still be in, the spur track will still be in there, but I wanted a crossover because I wanted to be able to sit cars here and here, and then cross over and go back that way and sit cars here and here. So I wanted to stage track cars in 2 areas, even though we have a switch that goes into Jackson Plastic and the Mariani. But the plan try is to try to put a crossover in there so that I can design more. Hey Dave, how you doing, sir? So that's the number one thing I'm trying to do. So it's still in the making. I have to get in touch with Bruce and order another curve switch. I might have swelled on and call him now. I know he's gonna be like, "Oh man." So actually, I'm gonna text him right now. Funny, I'll wait until after. But the number one thing about this track planning is you're going to come to a point where you're going to change things. A lot of people, and they'll say, "Yeah, well, I only change my layout once or twice in every 5 or 6 years," but you still changed it and you still added onto it, so it's still considered a change. So a lot of them rip their layouts up and starts all over again. But the number one thing you always got to remember: once you rip up a layout, it costs money because you got to put ballast down that you have to buy for. You got to put scenery down that you have to pay for, and then you have to put fresh new track, or you can recycle your track. Either or, if you recycle your track, then you save money. But if you go and buy new track, you're spending money. So it's always important to decide what you're going to do and make sure that it sticks and it's set in stone that you're not going to change it. Unfortunately for me, y'all already know. Leave it alone. I don't want to hear no comments about you change your layout more, you change your underwear. Yeah, Betty. Yeah, I do. I can't lie. So that's going to conclude this podcast. Uh, I want to thank all of you for coming. I didn't want to make it real long. I don't want to make an hour long podcast. I think I'm close to an hour. Probably 45 minutes, probably 30. Who knows? I don't care. So uh, the next podcast that I will do will be on switching, and uh, what type of engines to use for switching, um, which also goes into how much time you were on spending on doing switching, what type of engine that suits you, which you will have to buy, which is money, and the maintaining of your engines when you're doing switching, which is maintenance. Those three things I always come back to: time, money, and maintenance. Okay? It's always going to be part of your hobby. And I always come back to those three things. Just for track design, the time to prepare to do your layout, planning and designing your layout, how much money you went on spending on track, you know, how much you're going to spend on switches, and then the maintenance. You have to maintain the track. The track isn't going to stay in one spot, even though you done nailed it, ballasted it, done all of it. You have to keep it clean so that your engine can run on it. Maintenance. And I'm sure a lot of them got track cleaners on their layout, making sure it stays up. Three things: time, money, and maintenance. So I want to thank y'all all for coming. I am not a trained professor. I am not even close to trained professor. I used to do it for a living, working in train yards, switching out rail cars. Uh, that was fun. This here is totally different from the real world or railroading. I don't care what anybody say. They probably say, well, they 1-1. No, they're not. I try to bring I try to bring that experience to you on the layout as much as possible. But these are two different worlds, totally two different worlds. Uh, I try to get the best, spend my money on the best, and I prefer the cars and what I bought scale trains, and I'm not being biased towards scale trains whatsoever. But my opinion, and only my opinion, and I will keep this video up. My opinion is that Scale Trains has by far the best engine per price, detail. It weighs. The rail cars are awesome. I don't have to fight them. I don't have to add weight to them. I don't have to do none of that crap to these cars. And I just bought one that y'all just saw. That's right off the engine, that hopper, because I'm finna get ready to go to hoppers now. This is gonna be a tank car hopper layout, because I told y'all where I used to work, all we involved was tank cars and hoppers. I'm gonna get about 20 hoppers if I can find some more hoppers, Scale Train hoppers. So slowly but surely I'll start getting those. But like I said, y'all, by far, Scale Trains to me is the best. I've had Cotto, I have Intermountain, I've had Walters, I have Atlas, Browser, all types of engines in my life on its own layouts. And personally, by far, Scale Trains beat them all, because I don't have to fight with anything. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to touch anything. And that's the number one thing I don't want to do, touch it. I have to program it and do all those little things. But other than that, that's it. So I'm not a professor, but after experience with different track designs, working, doing all types of switching, that's my thing. That's my thing. So I want to thank y'all all for coming. It's been fun. Like I said, track planning is so important to preparing for build your layout. And Miss Donna, if you're still here, this engine for Anthony, I'm going to take it, I'm going to put it in the box, and whenever he's ready for me to ship it to him, it's his. Free of charge. I'll pay for the shipping and everything. If he wants a layout, it's ready for him to go. But remember, for that engine there, you can get 18-inch section track. Don't invest a lot of money just yet. I'm going to help him out as much as I can, okay? So that's me. From me to you, I'm going to help you, all right? Because that's what I'm all about. I like helping people get into this so they don't have to spend a lot of money, okay? So don't do anything just yet. I will send you some things if he's interested. So let me know in the future, okay? So until then, once again, let me get off of here. I will see y'all soon on the next podcast. I don't know when I'm going to do it, but I will pop up with a podcast, and the next one will be about track switching, okay? Until then, thank y'all all. Y'all take care, and bye.